323 BCE. The death of Alexander the Great, most likely from disease but perhaps by poisoning, without naming a successor. His empire was carved up by his leading generals. 322 BCE. Chandragupta Maurya founds the Mauryan Empire. 321 BCE. After Alexander's death, squabbling between his generals breaks out into widespread civil war. These were the Wars of Succession or Wars of the Diadochi. What followed were over 3 decades of intense rivalry. In the end, 3 dynasties would emerge, remaining in power until the time of the Romans. 312 BCE. Persia becomes part of the Seleucid Empire, founded by one of Alexander's generals. 278 BCE. Alexander the Great's generals established 3 Hellenistic kingdoms in Greece, the Middle East, and Europe. 261 BCE. Mauryan Emperor Ashoka the Great embraced a new model of kingship and religious philosophy based on a creed of tolerance and nonviolence. He extended Mauryan control and, his Buddhism proving a powerful unifying force, succeeded in joining all of India, except the southern tip, into an empire of 30 million people. 232 BCE. Death of Ashoka, Buddhism started to decline. 221 BCE. Qin Shi Huangdi, the self-styled first emperor, unified ancient China. 218 BCE. Hannibal, Carthage's commander in Spain, took his army across the Alps to attack Italy. Despite a series of victories in what became known as the Second Punic War, Hannibal could not take Rome itself, and in 202 BCE, he returned to Africa. 206 BCE. The Han general Liu Bang declared himself emperor of the Han dynasty, which would go on to rule China for 400 years. 202 BCE. Rome defeats Carthage in North Africa and the empire expands rapidly. 3rd century BCE. Sri Lanka converts to Buddhism. 185 BCE. The Mauryan Empire collapses. 146 BCE. Roman conquest of Greece. 140 to 87 BCE. Reign of Han Emperor Wudi, Lu Che, a time of imperial expansion. 106 BCE. The first caravan to travel the full length of the Silk Road carries Chinese ambassadors to Parthia. 88 to 82 BCE. Civil war between rival generals Sulla and Marius tips the Republic into crisis. 86 BCE. Athens sacked by Romans under General Sulla. 60 BCE. Julius Caesar became consul, and 2 years later he was appointed governor of the province of Gaul, a role which enabled him to remain abreast of developments in the Senate while also offering a springboard to military glory. 52 BCE. The Gaulish chieftain Vercingetorix led a revolt of local tribes against the Roman conquest of Gaul, modern France. At the Battle of Alesia, in Burgundy, eastern France, Roman forces under Julius Caesar built an ingenious donut-shaped fortification around the town, blocking Vercingetorix inside while also creating a stronghold against Gaulish reinforcements. The chieftain was forced to surrender, and after 5 years in captivity he was strangled on Caesar's orders. 50 BCE. Beginning of the Roman Philhellenic movement, Athens becomes the focus of imperial benefactors. 48 BCE. Julius Caesar triumphed over Pompey's forces at the Battle of Pharsalus in northern Greece. 46 BCE. Julius Caesar accepted the dictatorship for 10 years. 44 BCE. The assassination of Julius Caesar. 43 BCE. Mark Antony and Caesar's heir, Octavian, promptly assumed control of the state, forming a triumvirate, a group of 3 men holding power, with Lepidus, one of Caesar's former allies. 31 BCE. Octavian went to war against Mark Antony. Octavian's victory at the Battle of Actium leads to his accession as Rome's first emperor and the end of the Republic. 30 BCE. Emperor Octavian annexes Egypt, the last Hellenistic kingdom, for Rome. 1st century CE. Buddhism arrives in China and Japan. 9 CE. Germanic tribes secure their independence with victory at Teutoburg Forest. 33 CE. Crucifixion of Jesus. 43 CE. On the command of the Emperor Claudius, a Roman invasion force landed in Britain. In spite of opposition from local chieftains such as Caratacus, and a later revolt by the Iceni tribe under their leader Boudica, Roman rule eventually extended across England to the Scottish border and into Wales. The Romans governed Britain until 410, founding towns, developing a system of roads, and introducing such innovations as underfloor heating and the use of concrete for building. 46 to 57. Missionary journeys of St. Paul the Apostle. 64 to 68 CE. When a fire breaks out in Rome, Emperor Nero kills hundreds of Christians as scapegoats, martyrdom of Saints Peter and Paul. 79 CE. Vesuvius erupts, destroying Pompeii. 2nd century CE. The Roman Empire reaches its greatest extent, with a population of around 60 million people. 220 to 581 CE. 3 kingdoms and 6 dynasties period. The last years of the Han dynasty in China were marked by bitter divisions and fighting that led in 220 CE to the country being divided between 3 rival emperors, all claiming to be the rightful successors of the Han. These 3 kingdoms, the Wei in the north, the Wu in the south, and the Shu in the west, reached a fairly stable agreement over territory until fighting broke out from 263, when the rival Jin dynasty challenged and then conquered them. 250 CE. The Maya civilization reached its classic phase in the 3rd century CE, with a large number of cities across Mexico and Guatemala that featured distinctive temples shaped as stepped pyramids, carved monuments inscribed with dates from the complex Maya calendar, and a large and extensive trade network. The largest city was Teotihuacan in central Mexico, although lowland cities such as Tikal were also powerful.